Hi everyone. I've noticed a lot of people have been having trouble with Zoom when they're doing like folk clubs or sing-arounds or things like that. It's mostly issues with sound settings, but I thought it'd just be easier to show you rather than go through, just try to explain it, writing it. So anyway, we'll get on. I'll just start Zoom up. There's a few things to look at, especially if you're hosting a meeting. First thing you want to do really is get your settings set up first. So if you go into settings from the easiest way to get in, you can go via the browser as well, but if you click on that, it'll open a browser for you. And this gives you your meeting settings. So you've got the general meeting stuff, things like waiting rooms, which are going to be compulsory in September anyway, so you might as well use them. It's more security things from Zoom, because one thing to remember really is that Zoom isn't designed for Folkies, it's for business meetings, so there's a lot of security aspects in it. So I'll go through some of these things. Waiting room is just when that's in, when people join, the host will have to let them in, but you'll see that when I get the other browser up later. A lot of these things I tend not to use because I'm not doing sort of public meetings, it's usually just with mates, but things like passwords you can use. Like I say, just a bit more security to stop people you haven't invited getting in. Yeah, the main things you want to look at really, I mean, things like this are handy so your video comes on straight away. Same with participants, so there's less button pressing for people when they join. This probably doesn't come up too much, but you can actually join with a phone. You'll notice when you make up your invites that they'll give you a load of telephone numbers to join in, so you can, if you've got if you haven't got speakers on your desktop or whatever, which to be honest is quite unusual these days, but if that is the case, you can actually join audio on the phone and just do video from your computer. Join before host, again, this isn't going to mean much soon because you're going to have to go through the waiting room, so you're not going to be able to do that. But for now it's handy if you're just having an informal thing. You just set the meeting up. People can, if you're not there, they can still connect and chat to each other or whatever. Personal meeting IDs, you probably don't want to use this because every Zoom account has its own number. If you're doing informal things with your mates, then yeah, it's handy because then they just use the same meeting ID for everything. But otherwise, it'll just generate a new one for every meeting. Mute participants on entry, this is very useful because you don't, especially if people are joining late, you don't want them fumbling about and making a racket when they join. So this just means that as soon as once they're in the meeting, the default is mute. What else we got? Still need to worry about that. Meeting project save. Co-hosts are useful, obviously, if you're trying to manage, especially if you've got quite a lot of participants, you might want to break. So if you have a co-host, they have the same sort of privileges as the host, so they can mute people and things like that. Screen sharing's handy. It's not going to come up that much, but for instance, if you wanted to share the dots for some music or some lyrics for songs, that's quite a handy thing. And it's a whiteboard, so you could use it. I'm not sure that you need to worry about a lot of this stuff. What we're really after is, where is it? Here, this is the main one. It allows users to select original sound. This basically bypasses all the echo cancelling and the background noise elimination, and basically a lot of the problems you get on the auto volume. A lot of the problems you get in Zoom with singing and music is that the software is designed for speech. So if it is it's like if you're playing a flute or something, it's a continuous note, it would think, oh yeah, that's background noise, and it'll get rid of it, which obviously you don't want. And it can cause problems when you're singing and playing with an instrument as well. So you want this option, so you can basically bypass all the stuff. This is the easiest way to do it. I'll show you there's another way to do it. If it's something you do regularly, it might be worth doing in your settings, but we'll get to that later. You can also stream to Facebook. So I think that's about all we need in there. I mean, a lot of this is just down to your personal taste and what you think you want from your meetings, and just basically it stops people doing stuff if you don't want them to. So, But yeah, just have a look through and it'll give you a genuine idea. So I'll come back up with that. And you put your own settings. This is stuff for yourself. So things like video is important. So you can check all this stuff before you actually join a meeting. You can check that you're on the right webcam. I mean, I'm using 2 here because I've got another one for later on, which is Lionel there. But he doesn't say much. But this is the one I'm using for this. Enable HD you can do, but if you're struggling for bandwidth, then turn it off basically, because it's the sound that's going to be more important than anything. And if you're eating up all your bandwidth with high definition video, then you're gonna it may struggle. I mean, it'll depend on your internet connection basically, but there's a way to check that as well, which I'll get to in a minute. Audio settings, it's the same idea. You can test your speakers. This is actually going through a different set of speakers at the minute because of the way I've got it set up, because I don't have feedback loops and stuff. But basically it'll make a bingly noise, so you know your speakers are working, and you can see there that the mic's working. It's got a level there. This is what I'm talking about with the settings. Rather than using original audio, this is usually checked, which again, it's for speech, is to try to keep everything at the same level. So I turn that off. If you're going through if you got like a group going through a mixing desk or something, you can enable stereo sound, and then that'll be better with that. I'd tick that as well, just as I mean, it should do it anyway from the other meeting settings, but it's good practice just to do that yourself as well. If you're going to advanced, you get the background noise things, which are the main problem basically. So I mean, these are usually on auto, but disable them basically. I keep the echo cancellation on for when you're having a blether after, you know, in between songs and stuff. You're not getting the echo back, because basically what's happening is the sound from your microphone goes to somebody else's speakers and then gets picked up by their microphone. The echo cancellation basically cancels that bit out, so you don't get an annoying echo. But you should be able to leave that on. I can't see that causing any problems. So meeting, so I'll start a meeting and join with computer audio. Unless you're using the phone, it'll actually, I'll show you that. Or will I show you that? Can't remember how you get to that bit now. Oh, let me go there. Let's go back. So basically you get a phone number here, and then it'll run you through the meeting IDs. The participant ID is important because that'll tie your phone to the video. So basically when you speak down the phone, your video will pop up. It will, if you're in sort of presenter mode, it will be your video that comes up. If you don't do that, it'll just have a picture of a phone, and you know, it doesn't tie them together. I wouldn't have thought too many people will be doing that, but just in case. Right, again, you can go into settings from here if you need to change anything, or if you're struggling with your sound, you can go into audio settings and check your mic's working and all that sort of thing. You don't have to go back to the other page, you can do it all from here. This is the turn original song button, which is probably easier for most people to use if they haven't set themselves up, or maybe it's people that don't use this type of thing very often. They'll have a button that's obvious and they can use that. Right, I'll join on my browser so you can see what happens with other stuff. I'm on incognito here, so it doesn't use all my settings, because otherwise it'll just bung me straight in and you won't get all the sort of meeting rooms, the waiting room stuff and all that. So I'll copy that link. Put it in there. So I don't want to go through this. If you were joining and you have got the app, then you would go through this, because this will bring up what I'm using here. But obviously, because I'm running two at the same time, I can't do that. So I'll cancel that and then join from browser. Name is Mac, so it doesn't get confusing. I'm not a robot. Don't think I am anyway. Yep, I'm not. That's good. Right, so you see there, as the host, you'll get a little thing saying, I'm here, do I want to admit? And on the other end, you're stuck in a meeting room, so you go admit, and then connect, and off I pop. I need to change my webcam on here to the other one. This might take a minute, but I'm in trouble with this today. It'll take a while to actually kick in. Wait. Again, this is trouble you wouldn't normally have, because it's only because I'm basically doing both on the same thing, so it's a bit confusing, but there it is, that's worked. So this is the host and this is the participant. So something that's really useful when you're hosting is the participants window, because basically you can see here, I'm going to join audio again, sorry. Right, so you can see here, muted there. If something you used to be able to do, you used to be able to unmute as a host. There was a setting where you could actually, as a host, you could physically mute somebody, but because of security, because obviously when meetings, people might mute themselves so they can talk about somebody at the other end, so they don't do that. But then it pops up in a participant window with a pretty obvious thing, and you click unmute yourself. So I've gone full screen. Oops. And there you can see I'm unmuted, and I'm unmuted there. Another thing you can do, which is mute all. This is handy at the beginnings of meetings, or when you're actually introducing people, you can mute all. You have to unmute yourself as well, but obviously that's not much use if somebody's already singing, because it'll mute them as well. But you have got this list where you can mute and unmute people, and you go unmute all, and again it'll to unmute. So that's handy. And I suppose the main thing is really that you can mute participants, so you'll see if that little microphone's not got across through it, then they're live, but you can actually mute them yourself. You don't actually have to get them to do it, which is, I suppose, is the main point. Like I say, with trouble with a browser is you don't get the original audio option because you're not going through the app, but you would have that if you were using the app properly. What else can I say about this? Screen sharing, yeah, that's really easy actually. You just do that, and any Windows, it's like if you've got your lyrics or dots on a PDF or whatever, or Word document, you'd have that open, and then this would show up here. It's like at the minute it's just that's a control panel, but you can share pretty much anything. And if you were showing a video clip, then you'd need to share computer sound as well, but I can't imagine that coming up too much, but you never know. And you press share. It's because I'm using two screens. My sharing screen's popped up over there, but this is the participant one, so you can see there, and you can sort of get rid of your video if you want. So that's straightforward enough. Different views, gallery view, just basically puts everybody the same size. You tend to swap back and forth between these, to be honest, because when you're having a blether, it's good to be able to see everybody, but obviously if somebody's doing a spot, then you want to be able to see whoever's singing. And what this does is it goes off the sound, which is also why it's important to mute everybody, because if somebody makes a noise, the video will flick to them as well. So this, and the other option you've got, you can pin. So there's a thing he says, where is it, pin video, so that will make the video full screen, but just that one, and it'll stay on there until you unpin it. So that's another option if you want to mess about with that. What else are we looking at? Facebook. You can stream the whole thing to Facebook or YouTube if you want to as well. So if you're doing like a concert or like a festival or something like that, then you can do this. This can be a bit finicky, but it did seem to work earlier. So it takes you to your Facebook page. I don't know how it does that, but it does. And then you get the options of sharing to groups. So if you were at a festival, you'd share it to the whatever the festival group is, or the page. I've got a little test page I've got for doing these sorts of things, so I'll just share it to that. It takes a wee bit of time. I won't be able to show you on there it's streaming, but I'll show you on my phone just because it's all on the same computer. It doesn't actually, it won't let you do both. Should be, that's got the screen, and then if you want to do a title and all the other stuff and go live. I'm not going to bother with a title live anyway. So that should be going. Ah, there it is. So you can probably see on there, there's usually quite a delay with Facebook, but you see that's my Facebook thing, so it's not. It's come up there and you click on it, but that's actually easier than I thought it was going to be, because normally you have to do stream keys and all sorts of messing about, but you don't seem to have to do that with that. And to stop it, it's probably do it both ways. So you just stop live stream. You can do it from there as well. Yeah, you can. So stop live stream, stops, and that's it. Can't think if there's anything else you need to know really. If you want to record the session, you can record it here. It should give you the option to record to the computer, record to the cloud. I'd record it to your computer if I were you, because it will record with your Zoom account. It'll record it to a cloud, but it can take a while before you actually get to do it. What is recording? I think settings will probably just have a look at the settings, just see where it actually. I don't know if you probably get a choice of where to put it. Yeah, so if you go into your settings and recording, that will tell you where you need to, you can decide where you want to store everything. So that's easy enough. So I think that's about all you need to know for the general stuff. Yeah, so I hope it's been a bit of help and not too dull, 'cause I'm not very good at this sort of thing. But if you get any problems, I'm on Facebook. I'm going to be posting this on Facebook anyway, so just give us a shout, and if I can help I will do. So right, cheers, right, and bye.